rolling lap as they head towards the timing line. The lights remain red. But now they go green and we are away and racing. Daniel Abt desperately trying to get into that P2 position. He's got the inside line, but he's not able to do so. Antonio Felix da Costa ran out onto the runoff area with that big BMW M6. So it is Carvet's leading from Vantor, then it's Abt, and then it is Antonio Felix da Costa. So it's absolutely as we were from the start then, as they're into the Remus turn now. Antonio Felix da Costa going the long way round there and could lose out here, because P4 could be taken by Dominic Schweger. They are side by side. Dominic Schweger is on the grass and has to yield behind the BMW of Antonio Felix da Costa. Christian Engelhardt also looking very, very lively in P5 as well. We're on board with Kevin Estre and David Yarn. They were successful, of course, yesterday, and a lot of work to do for them to move up the order which is being led from Daniel Carvitz at the moment. So we go back on board with Kevin Estre, the KUS Team 75 Bernhard car. One of the downhill sections, car number 25, which is the car of Edward Sandstrom. And Daniel Dobic is under investigation. Current champions, the Ludwig and Ash car. We can see the Mercedes-Benz. We'll stay on board with Kevin Estre now in this long line of GT cars heading up towards turn number 1. So Christy Jons has moved up a place. Luca Ludwig has moved down. It's P7 and P8 between Christy Jons and Luca Ludwig at the moment, but the race being led by Daniel Carvitz in the Corvette, who currently is untroubled by Lawrence Vantor, who equally is untroubled by Daniel Abt. Christian Engelhardt looking lively, so too is Luca Ludwig, who wants to try and wrestle back that position. We stay on board and go back on board with Kevin Estre in the Porsche then. Running down there behind Martin Ragginger, and has lost out to Martin Ragginger and is running in P15. Once again then, the BMW of Antonio Felix da Costa being hounded by the Corvette of Dominic Schweger. And once again, Schweger is absolutely denied by Antonio Felix da Costa. Of course, BMW DTM driver who's making his GT racing debut this weekend, as out wide and onto the grass goes the number 29 Audi of Colin De Filippi and Christopher Mies. Christopher Mies in all sorts of strife yesterday, and the car ended up not finishing at all. But Lucas Stoltz and Gerhard Toraza, Lamborghini there. It's a short lap, just 4.3 kilometers. The laps come through pretty darn quick here. We stay on board with Kevin Estre, who seems to be our favoured on-board shot at the moment. Through turn 1. And there is our race leader. Now, Lawrence Vantor is beginning just to turn the wick up a bit. 0.3 is the difference between the two of them. Winkelhock has gone around in the Phoenix Racing Audi R8 LMS. There was probably maybe an assist there from the Lamborghini behind, didn't see. So we'll see better from here. Back end really snapped out, didn't it? If it wasn't an assist, there was perhaps a component failure there. Meantime, we pick up the leaders once again. Battle here between the number 1 car of Luca Ludwig and Sven Bart in the Corvette behind, but Ludwig it is that's running in P8 and is now able to make Hastie's escape from the Sven Bart RWT, the Gerd Beisel team run Corvette. So Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Ash, 2015 ADAC GT Masters champions. Carvet's leads by just 3.5 tenths. It's a replay of the start then, as they all headed uphill. One of duos looking very, very lively indeed in the Mercedes-Benz. Trying to dive up the inside. Nikolai Sylvestre car. There you can see everyone jostling. And Sylvestre's car on the outside going into turn 1. And some of these, there is the very Mercedes that we've been talking about that we looked at. This is the view from Christy Jons on board. You see, if you run off there at turn number 1, if you keep the momentum going, it does mean that you can hold on. Car number 16, which is the Lamborghini Huracan of Lucas Stoltz and Gerhard Turaza, has been given a drive-through penalty for pushing another car. Can only assume that that was the instant we saw with Marcus Winkelhock having gone around. The car that Marcus Winkelhock shares with Marcus Pommer. And their confirmation of that drive-through penalty for the number 16 GRT Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini Huracan GT3 car. Okay, Laurens Vanthoor has just taken, relatively speaking, a big chunk of time out of Daniel Kravitz, who's running in P1. Pit stop, of course, to come mid-race. Now, I mentioned at the start of the program, Kravitz, the most winning driver here in the GT Masters at the Red Bull Ring, knows the place inside out, knows exactly where to put the car to prevent any challenge to come from the Audi that's running in P2. Those two are breaking away a bit from Daniel Abt in the Bentley, and once again, Dominic Schwager desperately trying to find a way around the number 20 BMW M6 GT3 car of Antonio Felix da Costa, but he's being denied. That is allowing Christian Engelhardt to get ever closer to the back of the Dominic Schwager Corvette. Christian Engelhardt in the green car right at the back of your picture there, running in P6. We're on board with our race-leading car, looking back at the Audi of Laurens Vanthoor, which is running in P2. The order on the left-hand side of the screen for you. Through the final turn then, the Red Bull Mobile turn, comes Daniel Kravitz to put another lap in the book of leading this race. But it was 2:55 last time. The gap now is 4:10, so Kravitz has opened a little bit up. It's seesawing between the two of them here for P1 and P2. And there you can see on the graphics passing there a back-marking car. Looks like the Marco Bononomi Kotlinski car. From Sector 2, you can see the Sector 2 light is illuminated with the yellows there at the top of the screen, and there we can see why. One of the cars off there. Well, Laurens Vanthoor is certainly keeping Daniel Kravitz busy. The front of the pack is clear track ahead of him. As we look back at the P2 driver, and so that's the Bonaldi Motorsport car that's out of Florian Spengler and Emanuele Zanzini there in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, which is going to be recovered by that rescue unit there. And another lap completed. So Luca Ludwig trying to get on terms with Christy Jons. That's the battle that's going on. Comes into the picture now. There's Christy Jons going through in the Bentley. There is Ludwig in the Mercedes-Benz. Looks like it's another place made up there for the Mercedes-Benz of Rogevu and Sylvestre, or not, because we have ahead the Preco Porsche, and we're on board with Kevin Estre now. He's going for an overtake. He's on the grass. Has to lift, but will still hope to go past the Mercedes-Benz, the number 99 Porsche of Martin Raginger ahead, and the Mercedes out onto the runoff area. They're side by side now, Kevin Estre and the Mercedes-Benz of Nikolai Rogovou and Nikolai Silvestre. And through they go, the Audi trying to do exactly the same. Let's go on board with Kevin Estre then, who's chasing down the number 99 car that is ahead. That car being driven by Martin Ragginger. Christopher Mies in the Audi, just behind that Mercedes-Benz, running in P13 of Nikolai Silvestre. Actually running in P14 now, because of course Kevin Estre has got past, and this was the start of it. And there you can see on the run-up to the Raymond's turn, Estre doing very well to control that out on the grass, being squeezed out by the Mercedes-Benz, but counted as zero for that heavy defence, because running into turn 3 was when he was able to make the move stick by remaining absolutely committed and stoic in not coming off of that line at all. And frustration has obviously flown between the Dominic Schwager Corvette and the Antonio Felix da Costa BMW, because the Schwager Corvette is out. Was running in P5, so well, Schwager getting it wrong, then going into the Remus turn, and Antonio Felix da Costa, a real innocent party in that. That's played into the hands of Christian Engelhardt, who was able to go through. Ludwig also going through as well. There's Beisel looking, sorry, that's not Jörg Beisel, that is the Galloway team looking on. Well, Corvette has got going again, but damage there, I'm sure. Certainly quite an impact, but Antonio Felix da Costa was seemingly a completely innocent party in that. There is the Gerd Beisel run Corvette running just behind the BMW now. So that's the car of Sven Bart, with Edward Sandstrom right behind. Antonio Felix da Costa diving out towards the pit lane, presumably to allow the pit crew just to have a look at the side of the car to see, because that would have been the side of impact, to see if there is any damage to that. Antonio Felix da Costa now running down there in P7. Great shame. Caught up in something which was not of his making. He and Dominic Schwager had been battling and battling hard, to be fair, over those P4 and P5 positions. So now Sven Bart sensing an opportunity perhaps to try and get past the BMW that's running ahead. Edward Sandstrom will feel much the same way, and running there in P10 is the Bentley of Marco Holzer. Christian Engelhardt then up to P4. He shares that car with Rolf van Nijken. There, the Lamborghini Huracan running in P4 now. Daniel Abt is P3, Lawrence Vantor still P2, and Daniel Kalvitz leading the race by 4/10 over Lawrence Vantor at the moment. Recovering Antonio Felix da Costa, managing to bring that car back into P7, and I suspect this is going to be very much a retirement for the number 31 car, Patrick Assenheimer and Dominic Schwager. See there that the front completely locked up now, and that car is retired. So that car under investigation. Also under investigation is the ADAC Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan of Florian Spengler and Emanuele Sonzini. You may recall we saw that being recovered. Section between turns 2 and 3. We're on board with Daniel Kalvitz. Looking back at the Lawrence Vantor Audi, which is running in P2. Daniel Kalvitz with 4/10 over the Audi at the moment. Then it's Daniel Abt running in P3. Fire started, and there's damage there for the Lamborghini Huracans as well. And tyre lets go, and it means that the car is spun around. It's the Polar Michele Beretta car from the GRT Grasso Racing team. Didn't quite see why there was contact. That's the tyre letting go. Cars number 69 and car 32 being referred to the stewards for avoidable collision. As once again Laurens Vanthoor turns up the wick as they head towards the Remus turn, turn number 2. We're on board with Daniel Carvets. Vanthoor getting right on the back of Daniel Carvets, but as I mentioned previously, Carvets the most winningest driver in the GT Masters here at the Red Bull Ring, with debris there on the circuit, just on the outside of turn number 3, which is where we saw that Lamborghini going around. Stay on board the Daniel Carvet's car, run by Callaway Competition, the Corvette. Daniel Ab's out on his own, really, as is Christian Engelhardt in P3 and 4, respectively. Then it's Christy Jons and Luca Ludwig. And Edward Sandstrom still trying to find a way around the Sven Bart number 13 car shared with Remo Lips, and currently running 8. So again, he returns. Pit exit here. Right side, watch the white line on the way out. Don't cross that. Immediate penalty if you do. And this in replay of the Schreier and Xavier Masson car from ADAC Motorsport going around. To be fair to Laurens Vanthoor in the Audi, absolutely pushing that Corvette all the way. Yesterday on board, looking back at the Sebastian Ash-Luca Ludwig car, which is the one we can see now. Ahead is the Christy Jons Bentley. We're looking back at that Zack-Speed Mercedes-Benz. We were. Graphics absolutely brilliant that we can bring you on the screen to show you what gear, what revs. And there is the Sven Bart number 13 Corvette. Of course, one of the original Z06R GT3 cars. Still look and sound absolutely brilliant. So Vanthoor has taken another 10th out of the race leader. Down to 3/10 now, the margin between the two of them. So Laurens Vanthoor does mean business here. Very well being as quick, but got to try and find a way past. And Daniel Carvets is placing that car exactly where he needs to get the run out of that turn number 2. Which gives him the momentum, the grunt, if you like, to head towards turn number 3 as they start going downhill. That's where he's able to take a little bit more. In sector 1, you see he's just marginally quicker than Laurens Vanthoor. Well, young racing fan enjoying the race action in the Cave Styler 24 Mucker Motorsport garage there. So Daniel Carvet's leading this race. 5 minutes or so away from the pit window opening for the mandatory driver change. You have to come in within that pit window period. With a clear track ahead of him, unless of course he is able to get past Daniel Carvets before that pit window opens. It'll be a huge psychological boost if he's able to do so. So best lap from Carvets and the margin to Lawrence Vantor, as you can see, as they head once again up to turn at number 2. Vantor closes really up then under braking, but it's here where the Corvette just really seems to have the grunt going downhill and is able just to get away from the Audi. Drive-through penalty for the GRT Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini Huracan, driven by Nicholas Pola and Michaela Beretta. Finished P18 yesterday, got a drive-through penalty now. So we continue watching P1 and P2. Confirmation of that drive-through penalty. Violation of Article 39.1. P1, P2. Corvette leading Audi. Back on the power for the climb up to turn number 1 for Daniel Carvets. And the margin is staying around about 3.5 tenths between the two of them. It is next to nothing. All it will take is one tiny little issue from Daniel Carvets, and Lawrence Vantor would pounce like a viper to strike. But at the moment, Carvets is totally mistake-free, putting the car in exactly every position that it needs to be to defend against the onslaught from Lawrence Vantor in car number 24. Cave Styler, 24 APR Motorsport Audi. Opened up a huge margin over everybody else. Antonio Felix da Costa in that BMW then, as running out wide there is the Audi that was running ahead of them. On board once again with Kevin Estra. Down there in P12, ahead is Martin Raginger in P11. So those two just out of the points in the Porsches. Daniel Carvets on that last lap. Just looking and just looking at the inside, but really close enough to be able to make an overtake still. Just a couple of minutes away from the big window opening. Kevin Estra and Martin Raginger would love to be involved in this battle. At the moment, they're not there yet. With Sandstrom Audi there, reeling in the number 8 placed car of Christy Jons, and all over the back of Christy Jons trying to find a way, but Sandstrom himself is under pressure from Holzer then, and again he's in one of these positions where he's trying to attack and so having to defend at the same time, and a pair of Bentleys with which the Audi is sandwiched in between. Back into the car, stepped out a little bit there. Mounting pressure then, we zoom in on the number 25 car of Edward Sandstrom. So they're in replay, Bentley running out onto the grass there. Daniel Abt, P3, Christian Engelhardt, P4, Ludwig is P5, Antonio Felix da Costa then running in P6, then it's Bart, Christy Jons then, and it's Edward Sandstrom, Marco Holzer, then Raginger and Estra in the two Porsches that we've been following. So we are 8 seconds from the pit window opening. Will Carvitz decide to dive in early on? If he does, will that mean that Audi will stay out and try and get some very, very quick laps in? Well, they both stay out. So not deciding to come in at the earliest opportunity for the... well, ignore the fact that it says pit window closed, because obviously that's the reverse of the sign, which says pit window open. So P1, Daniel Carvitz, 3/10 over Lawrence Vantor in the Audi. They bounce over the curbs. Uphill run to turn number 2. Now this is where, under braking, Vantor has been able to get really close, but then seemingly the Corvette has the grunt. Running in P24 is the Lucas Stoltz Grasso Racing Team Lamborghini coming in now. So gaffer tape will be applied to that. So who do we have in? Has come in. Also in is the Bentley there that you can see as we zoom round and take a look at that car. But in the meantime, Daniel Carvitz and Lawrence Vantor are as close together as they've been. It's been 3/10 for pretty much the entire race so far. The margin between the two of them. Both opened up like 7.5 seconds. So it's the Lucas Stoltz Grasso car then. Really is betting, isn't it? It's not going to go down with a bit of gaffer tape. It's going to take more than that. Only attend to after the mandatory pit stop. Done it now. Desperately wanting to get away, and problems for the number 20 car, the BMW of Antonio Felix da Costa and Jesse Krohn. Now I thought the car had been in, and I thought it was Jesse Krohn that was at the wheel, with Daniel Carvitz then, who's stayed out. Also now, what they're having to do is negotiate their way around traffic that's rejoining following the mandatory pit stops. They don't have a clear track ahead now. Does this mean that either of them are coming in? No, it does not. So Carvitz and Vantor stay out. Those ahead have done their mandatory pit stops. Good awareness there. Also a mistake by Mercedes running out wide and allowing those two through. So here comes Daniel Abden and Jordan Lee Pepper. South African racer will dive into the car. Was in conversation with him just last weekend. He was there supporting a TT Cup racer, Josh Cahill. I'm supporting him now in terms of getting belted into the Bentley. And in also the two Porsches, the Martin Ragiger, Robert Renauer car, and also the Kevin Estra Porsche as well. And whilst all that's been going on, whilst all that's been going on, Lawrence Vantor has managed to get past Daniel Carvitz. Sadly, we didn't see that live because we were focusing on what was going on in the pit lane. So how did that happen? Here it is in replay. Characteristic mistake of running wide there by Daniel Carvitz, which gave Lawrence Vantor, because that's not an oft-used overtaking place here at the Red Bull Ring. So that has given Lawrence Vantor the lead, and Daniel Carvitz is down to P2. So on board with Daniel Carvitz, abandoned car to the left-hand side. As a picture as we go past it and then through the Remus turn here. And Lawrence Vantor making haste. His escape up the road is in P1 now. The lights being furiously flashed by Daniel Carvitz, who needs to get past that returning Porsche ahead of him and is unable to do so, which means that Lawrence Vantor is able to get up the road. So it was a real wide run there by Daniel Carvitz. Lawrence Vantor to go through. And Vantor is up the road now, and Carvitz, Lawrence Vantor and Daniel Carvitz and Christian Engelhardt, for that matter, still to come in. Lawrence Vantor stays out. Is Carvitz going to dive in? Yes, he is. So Daniel Carvitz then. Jules Gounon will be standing by to jump into the Callaway Competition Corvette. So we follow it down the pit lane then. Jules Gounon, the driver that will be taking over the driving duties. They're standing by. Car is at the stop, engine off. Jules Gounon in. So the Corvette roars back into life again. It's Jules Gounon in the driving seat now. Stalls it on the way out. That's no help. We split the screen. You can see the Bentley just coming around the final turn now. Bentley, of course, is up to full racing speed. Jules Gounon just on the exit of the pit lane. There is the number 7 machine, and Jules Gounon out comfortably ahead of the Bentley. Waved yellows there for the abandoned Audi up against the barriers. So the number 7 Bentley, Daniel Abton now at the wheel. Jordan Lee Pepper, the South African racer, is in. Comes Lawrence Vantor and Florian Stoll car. Again, we'll split the screen because this one could be really tight between this and the Jules Gounon Corvette. Just as I say that, we do split the screen to enable you to see the very two. Where's Jules Gounon on the track in comparison to where the Audi is about to leave. Now, where the Audi had an advantage was laps ahead of that Porsche. So Jules Gounon is now approaching the last turn. So there is Gounon, and there on the way out is the Audi. So here comes Jules Gounon. Is the Audi going to stay ahead? Indeed so. Bear in mind, Jules Gounon, though, is up to racing speed. You've got waved yellows there. So the number 24 Audi of Florian Stoll and Lawrence Vantor stays in P1. to run. So Christian Engelhardt in, swap over with Rolf van Nijken, Edward Sandstrom, Daniel Dobic, also in as well as the pit window closes. So now it's down to Jules Gounon to try and reel in this Audi that is leading the race. Or with the Callaway competition Corvette then we can haste the chase. And the number 63 Lamborghini of Rolf van Nijken at the wheel now. Desperately to get going, and he does get going now. Going to be behind the Bentley, but ahead of the Mercedes-Benz. So there is Rolf van Nijken then. And Sebastian Ash in Mercedes-Benz remains P5. So Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon, Jordan Lee Pepper, the 1, 2, 3. We're on board with Rolf van Nijken for the GLT Grasser Racing team. Taking over his stint of driving now from Christian Engelhardt. When opportunities were given to him, Christian was there to take those opportunities. So rather spread out, and a safety car has been deployed. Now I wonder if the safety car has been deployed for that stricken Audi on the run between turns 1 and 2, or if there is for some other reason that we've not seen. Of course this does, it really plays into the hands of Jules Gounon, who can now quite legally run right up to the back of the Florian Stoll Audi, and they will all be able to bunch up together. So yeah, sure enough, that is why the safety car has been deployed, is to retrieve that Audi. So the order then is Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon, Jordan Lee Pepper, then it's Rolf van Nijken, Sebastian Ash, Remo Lips, then it's Daniel Dobic, who is P7. Styler Audi. That car that we're looking back at is a back marking car, effectively. So recovery operation then underway. And the safety car leading the cars around the track then, whilst that Audi is recovered. And Florian Stoll will through that safety car. Vantor that had managed to get past earlier on. And this is as we were then with the number 77 car. This super slow replay, I hope, is going to be the overtake, because there Lawrence Vantor was right on the back of the Corvette. Just disappeared out of the picture. So the Christopher Haas, Christian Frankenhout car, Audi R8 LMS is recovered, and once the recovery truck is on its way, the safety car will be in. In fact, the safety car is going to come in this lap anticipation of the recovery all having been completed. So Jules Gounon now will have to try and anticipate when Florian Stoll is going to floor that car. This will be a gifted opportunity potentially to Jules Gounon in the Corvette to try and wrestle the lead back from the Audi safety car in this lap. So Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon, Jordan Lee Pepper, Rolf Nijken, Sebastian Ash, Remo Lips, Daniel Dobic, Christy Jons, Luigi Filippi, David Yarn, the top 10. P11, indeed so. So safety car then, lights are out. And now Florian Stoll will back them up. It's down to him to control this. And Jules Gounon then. Stoll floors it now. Gounon stays with him. So as they run up towards turn number 1, the race resumes. The backmarking car gets out of the way to allow Jordan Lee Pepper to get hopefully on terms, but he's under real pressure from Rolf Nijken for P3. And Rolf Nijken around the outside gets hung out to dry, but it was a valiant effort. Might be able to carry the speed in. With Fabian Hamprecht, and Jules Gounon then is challenging. That was a good save from Rolf Nijken to hold on to that place. Further down the order then, we look at the number 29 Audi of Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies, but here comes Jules Gounon on the outside of Florian Stoll, tries to sell a dummy because we'll switch to the inside now. Behind that back-marking car, and again Jules Gounon is really sticking with it here. He's going to be brave to go around the outside. There's a slight touch between the two of them. Florian Stoll holds on for the moment, but Jules Gounon really means business here in the Callaway Competition Corvette, trying to wrestle away that race lead that was held by Daniel Karbitz for so long. As everyone looks on. Second to last turn, here comes the last turn then. And Jules Gounon, oh, and there's a little bit of contact there between the Lamborghini and the Audi. Gounon all over the back of Florian Stoll. And safety car being brought out again for the stricken Steve Feig Bas Schotthurst car. And also for the Rowe Racing car of Zanelli and Dienst. The ADAC Motorsport car from Big FM Racing is out and in the gravel, so the safety car is deployed once again. And Jules Gounon will think, well, there's going to be another opportunity for me to have another go at Florian Stoll. So clock continues to count down. There's Jordan Lee Pepper in the number 7 Bentley. Will also be fancying his chances as well. Recovery operation underway, and getting out of the MRS GT Racing Nissan, the car driven by Steve Feig and Bas Schotthurst, and that and the Big FM Porsche. The reason why the safety car has been deployed once again. behind the safety car for certainly another lap. As they roar past our commentary position here. We're on board with the Fabian Hempracht Bentley Team Abt car. Camera turns to allow us to see Fabian Hempracht. So they took the car to P2 yesterday. Something wrong with timing screen on the left-hand side of our commentary position, which says safety car in this lap. I think that's the case because the recovery operation is still continuing to turn 1. See from our commentary position there, indeed, just as I said that, the safety car in this lap has disappeared off the screen, and the light's certainly still flashing on the safety car. Clock continues to count down, and there the recovery operation goes on. That's the divert turn, turn number 1, so commentary position, I can see something occurring at turn number 1. So perhaps we'll pick that up in a moment. So Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon, P1, P2, P3 is Jordan Lee Pepper, P4 is Remo Lips in the Corvette, P4 is Ash, and sorry, P4 is Remo Lips, P5 is Sebastian Ash, P6 Rolf van Nijken, and P7 Daniel Dobic with Christy Jons and David Jahn, P8 and P9, and P10 is Connor Di Filippi in car number 29. So safety car continuing to lead the cars away. Past our commentary position they go. Going into this round, it was Daniel Carvetz and Jules Gounon leading the points, 95 points to 83 for Connor Di Filippi and Christopher Mees. And they're running in P10 at the moment with this car. Some drivers, Jules Gounon and Daniel Carvetz, running in P2 at the moment. So Jules Gounon will be fancying his chances once again. He certainly took the fight to Florian Stoll from the restart from the safety car last time around. This is the second safety car deployment in but a few laps. In fact, following it coming in, the safety car is out once again. So recovery operation continues, and of course until those recovery vehicles are to safety, then the race cannot resume. Replay of the last safety car. So there the Schotthorst car is put onto the low loader. Maybe one more lap behind the safety car and we will be back to racing for the remaining, well, it's going to be 10 minutes of racing, isn't it, by the time the safety car has come back in. LED indicators on the windscreen of the cars. That alerts you to what position they are in. Under investigation is the Mark Pacing, Philip Guy, Pagliacco Racing Audi R8 LMS, just being advised on our message screen. So with that recovery operation done and dusted, hopefully the safety car will be brought in. Indeed so. Just as I say it, the message comes up on the screen to say safety car is coming in this lap, so it's going to be just under 10 minutes of racing left. So going to be very much now or never for Florian Stoll as the safety car leads the cars, and the lights go out on the safety car just as we pass the instant scene. And Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon will fancy his chances now. And he's trying to anticipate when Florian Stoll is going to go for it. So Jules Gounon right on the back of the Audi. Is he going to go? He's got to be careful as not to run into the back of the Audi. And we are away and back to racing again. They really are all bunched up together, and Jordan Lee Pepper is in this mix as well. Gounon to the outside then. Is Pepper going to dive to the inside? Not quite close enough to be able to do it, but Gounon has got the run coming out of turn one. He's carrying more momentum than Florian Stoll. He's on the outside, which is not necessarily the line to have. But if he can get his nose in front before they break for Remus, there's almost a touch between the two of them. And Jordan Lee Pepper dives up the inside now. Sven Remo Lips in the Corvette. The car shared with Sven Bart there side by side. And again, Gounon trying to go the long way around the outside here. Really having a go. And there's a mistake from the Audi as the car runs just a bit wide. That allows Gounon once again to get absolutely alongside. And Jordan Lee Pepper trying to get on the inside of the Corvette as well. He's in P3, trying to wrestle away P2. We've only got 8 minutes of racing left, and well, the laps could be extraordinary between here and the checkered flag. We're looking back at the P3 racer because we're on board with Jules Gounon then. Florian Stoll has survived the first lap after the restart just. So they round the final turn. As the Geipel Basing car moves up. All head towards turn number one. And now Gounon is having to think about defending from Jordan Lee Pepper rather than attacking Florian Stoll ahead. So there is Jordan Lee Pepper because we're on board with, or we were on board with the P2 car. Slipped back from the Audi now, but here comes the Bentley of Jordan Lee Pepper in P3. Then it's Remo Lips, and then it's Sebastian Asch in the number one Mercedes-Benz, who's currently running in P5. Dobic is ahead of Jan at the moment. Jan looking very lively as well in the Porsche. As we look back, we go on board with David Jan now. Who has Connor De Filippi for company right behind. So Jules Gounon flashing his lights furiously there. Just taking a look. The inside there was Connor De Filippi. David Jan as they all head up towards turn one again. We zoom into that battle as Connor De Filippi wore the back end of the car really twitching as he steered in, and now he's got to run alongside the David Jan Porsche. So this will be a fight all the way up to turn number two. Connor De Filippi in the Audi, David Jan in the Porsche. Connor De Filippi is going to have bragging rights going into the turn because he's got the inside line. David Jan is going to have to close the door to try and prevent the Jan van Lagen Norbert Siedler car coming through as well. But still, Connor De Filippi is denied. Now again, just having a look at the inside. David Jan in the number 17 Porsche took the win yesterday. On board with Fabian Hamprecht then in the number 8 Bentley, and there is the car of Hoevenaars and Verwich. So Peter Hoevenaars is out, and where is that on the track, and is that going to cause another problem? That's what they say about safety cars breed safety cars. We have under 5 minutes of the race left to run. We're on board with Fabian Hamprecht then in P11, chasing down Norbert Siedler ahead. Down to P13 because in P12 now it is the Boris Said Callaway competition car. And we look back at the damage on the front Mercedes-Benz. So Florian Stoll P1, Jules Gounon P2. Super slow replay is more damage being inflicted to the front of that Mercedes-Benz off the back of the car that we're on board with. So Jules Gounon is sticking with Florian Stoll. 3 3/4 minutes left of racing to come. They're running in P13 there, the Nikolai Rogevu Mercedes-Benz. Ahead is the 31 car of Boris Said. Cars will roar past our commentary position. And still Florian Stoll is able to hold Jules Gounon at bay. So Hamprecht P11, Rogevu P12. Siedler is running in P10. Turn there, the Kelvin Snokes Elia Earhart car being hounded by the Lamborghini. So much going on here as diving up the inside there is Nikolai Rogevu on Fabian Hamprecht, and Hamprecht is also under pressure now from that car right behind of Philip Geipel. So Philip Geipel is denied at the moment. Under 2 minutes, the clock at the top of the screen indicates this car's complete another lap here. And still Jules Gounon not able to take anything to Florian Stoll. In fact, the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8 all really out on their own. It's get back to these battles here that are going on for the final places in this final stage of the ADAC GT Masters Race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So the ADAC Motorsport all-yellow machine. Power being put down on the exit of turn number 2, the Remus turn. All up from our high cherry picker shot there. Absolutely side by side here. Norbert Siedler running in P10, Nikolai Rogevu and Nikolai Sylvestre that share that Mercedes-Benz that's running in P11 and therefore just out of the points with 30 seconds left on the clock, plus of course 1 lap here at the Red Bull Ring. Rogevu all over the back of the car, up onto the curbs. trying to find a way past Norbert Siedler. The order on the left-hand side of your screen, Norbert Siedler and Jan van Hagen then in the final points-paying position. Towards turn number 1. And all the way around the outside and carrying the runoff there is Nikolai Rogevu. Just wonder whether that will be looked at by the race stewards, because he carried so much speed through there. And the car continues to be mugged, though, because Fabian Hemprecht and Geipel side by side as the Milos Pavlovic and Patrick Kujala car retire. This is what I was talking about these cars being absolutely side by side. Robert Siedler and Fabian Hemprecht, instant under turn 5 is under investigation. Don't think we saw that live. And just wonder whether Nikolai will be allowed to keep that place. Those parts coming off the Bentley there. Fabian Hemprecht car up the inside then. That's what caused the retirement of the Bonaldi car of Patrick Kujala and Milos Pavlovic. We're on the final lap then. This is the last opportunity for Florian Stoll to try and hold on to this. He hasn't looked as threatened by Jules Gounon. Certainly threatening there from P7 is Daniel Dobic, having a real go at Rolf van Nijken ahead of him. There is Rolf van Nijken, steadfast in P6, being hounded by Daniel Dobic. So Dobic running in P7. He, of course, has got David Jahn for company as well. And David Jahn is on the grass and is alongside the Audi. And you can see how cross David Jahn is there as he goes to the outside, tries to sell a dummy and go to the inside, but it's all under control. Daniel Dobic puts the car exactly where he needs to. That all plays into the hands of Rolf van Nijken, because whilst those two are battling, Rolf van Nijken is able to breathe a sigh of relief and get up the road a little bit. In the meantime, Florian Stoll is still leading Jules Gounon. Every effort Jules Gounon has had to try and find a way past has been denied by Florian Stoll, and it's going to be Florian Stoll that is going to take the win here as it heads towards the checkered flag. So Florian Stoll will win from Jules Gounon. Jordan Lee Pepper will take P3, Remo Lips P4, Sebastian Ash P5, Rolf van Nijken for P6, Daniel Dobic P7, then it's David Jahn, Conor De Filippi and Nikolai Rogevu. The top 10 with Fabian Hemprecht, and then it's Philip Geipel, Elia Earhart. My goodness, what a race. So there, Florian Stoll and Laurens Vanthoor, the winners. And Delight down there on the Cape Styler 24. Audi, and this in replay then, and David Jahn was pretty unhappy about that. Was out onto the grass, and that's where David Jahn made his feelings known. Under the sight of the Red Bull then, the classification, Florian Stoll, Laurens Vanthoor taking the win from Jules Gounon and Daniel Kravitz. Jordan Lee Pepper, Daniel Abt P3, then it's Remo Lips, Sven Bar P4 with Ash and Ludwig 5, and Nijken Engelhard 6. Dobic and Sandstrom P7 with David Jahn and Kevin Astra taking P8 with Conor De Filippi and Christopher Mees taking P9, and Rogevu and Sylvestre for AMG Team Sack Speed rounding out the top 10. The rest of the order on screen, as you can see. So the cars will make their way back to the pit lane and parc ferme area. There'll be various media commitments for the 1, 2, 3. And here we can see a replay of Florian Stoll then taking the checkered flag. Despite 2 very late safety cars. Florian Stoll managing to take the win. Success being congratulated down there. Florian Stoll, Jules Gounon P2, Jordan Lee Pepper P3. There is Jules Gounon. So congratulations to Jules Gounon. So the media commitments for the 1, 2, 3 down there in the pen before heading up to the podium. Number 21 was under investigation and was given a drive-through penalty. That's Nikolai Sylvestre and Nikolai Rogevu. It's replaced by a 30-second time penalty. So that will knock them well down the order and will mean that Fabian Hamprecht will be into points-paying position. Then, that just appearing on our screen under a minute ago, car number 21 then was going to get a drive-through, but no time left in the race for that drive-through to be taken, so to be replaced by a 30-second time penalty to be added to the race results. So that means their final points-paying place is no longer. Florian Stoll then, and Lawrence Vantor P1, Jules Gounon, Daniel Kravitz P2, Jordan Lee Pepper, Daniel Abt P3. Podium being ready to the very left of your picture up high, as you can see. And drivers down there being interviewed as we speak. And what it does is it really does cement the Jules Gounon, Daniel Kravitz position at the top of the points charts. They head to the Nürburgring in a couple of weeks' time for the next round of the ADAC GT Masters. Do check out all the information on the website at ADAC GT Masters, full English version on there for you. And Nürburgring it is next, followed by Zandvoort in the dunes on the North Sea, and then the grand finale to come at Hockenheim right at the beginning of October. And that's the ADAC GT Masters season for 2016. Goodness, where has the season gone? We'll be bringing you the championship points in just a few moments. Just while the drivers are being interviewed down there ahead of going up onto the podium, and as if by magic, there, confirmation of race 8. Florian Stoll, Lawrence Vantor, Jules Gounon, Daniel Kravitz, and Jordan Lee Pepper, and Daniel Abt. The as if by magic comment was because I thought it was the points then appearing on the screen, but the race result once again for you to look at just while those drivers are heading up towards the podium. Lots of DNFs there, afraid to say. Such a packed grid of the super sports cars in this very successful ADAC GT Masters series. 39 laps. Would have been more, but for, of course, the safety cars. 2 of those.